The boulevard to remain open permanently, said the Minister of Tourism. Marigot commemoration of the victory of May 8, 1945. Youth vaccination outreach is set for May 13th in 16 and 27. Check your child's vaccination records. MP Darryl York. Rule for one, rule for all. The marketplace construction illegal. From the island, St. Martin, this is SXM Daily News for May 8, 2026. Grisha Haliger Martin, Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport and Telecommunication, addressing the overwhelming response we received regarding the Bacchanal BLVD. I received a request asking for the boulevard to remain open permanently and look at the Minnesota dresses, because people generally enjoy the atmosphere and the energy and experience it creates. However, realistically, keeping it for a pope permanently would eventually create a major traffic and safety concern. Intention was never for it to become permanent, but rather for it to evolve into a special activation space used during key periods and occasions.
I also want to end by addressing the overwhelming response we received regarding the Bacchanal Boulevard. I've received countless requests asking for the boulevard to remain open permanently. And I look at the Minister of Justice and she's smiling. Because people generally enjoy the atmosphere and the energy and experience it created. However, realistically, keeping it open permanently would eventually create a major traffic and safety concern. The intention was never for it to become permanent, but rather for it to evolve into special activation space used during key periods and occasions. So last year, we piloted a similar concept during Christmas, and now during Carnival, we expanded on that version. So the long-term goal is to continue building themed activation experiences for both residents and visitors. And in the near future, once all falls into place, the area will transition into what we envision as the Guava Berry Boulevard during Christmas season, creating another unique and festive experience for St. Martin. Because despite the challenges, one thing is undeniable. St. Martin is energy, St. Martin is creativity, and St. Martin has the potential to build something truly special.
Construction has begun on the Phillipsburg Marketplace without a valid building permit. And while the sound of machinery may feel like progress, MP Darryl York says what is actually happening on that site is illegal. In the most recent public parliamentary meeting, the minister confirmed on record that a permit had not yet been granted and that construction would begin once it was. That permit still has not been issued. The equipment is moving anyway, and if you are one of the 400-plus families who have been waiting years for your own building permit, watching your loan get cancelled, your construction costs climb, and your life sit on hold, MP York says you already know exactly what is wrong with this picture. There are over 400 families, small business owners, and everyday people who have been waiting years for their building permits. Years. While they waited, construction costs went up, and their budgets no longer covered what they planned to build. Pre-approved loans were cancelled because banks require a valid permit. Lives put on hold. Businesses that never opened. Homes that were never built. These people did everything right. They submitted their plans. They paid their fees. They waited and kept waiting because the rules said they had to. Now, they are watching the government build without the very document it has yet to provide them. Rule for one. Rule for all. MP York is clear that he supports the development of the Phillipsburg Marketplace and the recent urgency behind it. St. Martin needs it, vendors need it. But he has said since day one in Parliament, do it the right way or don't do it at all. It is not the people's fault, he argues, that the government held a groundbreaking 2 years ago without a permit in hand. it is not their fault that the design kept changing and the permit kept not coming. MP York's call to the government is direct. Pause, obtain the permit through the proper process, and then build. Not because he wants to see this project delayed, but because the integrity of the system that over 400 families are depending on and binded to cannot be selectively applied. Fix the backlog. Streamline the process. Give people their permits. Over the past months, we've seen significant strengthening of victim support services both operationally and strategically. This includes recently upgrading the office to better protect people's privacy and improve how services are delivered. The space now has private areas for one-on-one conversations, a counseling room, and a space for group sessions and training, all designed to make people feel safer, more comfortable, and better supported. They've trained more staff to better support people in sensitive situations like workplace sexual harassment, said Minister of Justice on Wednesday at the COM press briefing.
Over the past months, we've seen significant strengthening of victim support services, both operationally and strategically. This includes recently upgrading the office to better protect people's privacy and improve how services are delivered. The space now has private areas for one-on-one conversations, a counseling room, and a space for group sessions and training, all designed to make people feel safer, more comfortable, and better supported. They've trained more staff to better support people in sensitive situations like workplace sexual harassment. We've also made it easier for people to reach victim support services by offering translators and information in different languages, so everyone can access help safely and privately. At the same time, we are seeing a shift that we must acknowledge honestly. There is an increase in reported domestic violence cases. This is not something that we should ignore, but it must also be understood in context. It reflects both ongoing challenges and a growing willingness to come forward and seek support. This is a step in the right direction. I want to clarify that victim support services are not limited to cases referred through the police or the justice system. VSS is accessible to anyone in need of support, and individuals can come forward confidentially without initiating a formal report, particularly in sensitive cases. On the Immigration and Border Protection Services front, IBPS continues to maintain a strong enforcement posture. Through the Mobile Control Unit, targeted operations were carried out across businesses, construction sites, and communities, focusing on illegal residency, human trafficking, and compliance with immigration laws. These efforts are supported by coordinated operations with key partners, including Customs, Labor Inspection, the Coast Guard, and our French counterparts, strengthening cross-border collaboration and enforcement effectiveness. As a result of these operations, over the past quarter, we've had 65 deportations that were executed during the reporting period, and 34 individuals who were refused entry at our borders due to issues such as a lack of documentation, misrepresentation. Figures reflect both enforcement and vigilance. With respect to the new prison project, I want to be clear that the project remains on track. While on-site construction has not yet commenced, the project is in an advanced mobilization phase, with all key contractual, financial, and operational arrangements nearing completion. These are necessary steps to ensure that construction proceeds efficiently and to the required standards. Construction activities are scheduled to begin this month, starting with site preparation. Importantly, the overall timeline remains aligned with the original plan, and the project continues to move forward as intended. As we move forward, our focus remains firm. We will continue strengthening our systems, supporting those who rely on them, and ensuring that our approach to safety is consistent and effective.
Marigot, commemoration of the victory of May 8, 1945. Vice President Michel Petit, Prefect Cyril Levelli, Vice-Chancellor Harry Christophe, former fighters and flag bearers commemorated the victory of May 8, 45 this Friday in the presence of the members of the Association of the National Order of Merit, Law Enforcement, and civil security. The president of the Territorial Youth Council, Jahid Hamlet, and about 60 young cyclists from Saint-Martin participated in the commemoration and the laying of the emblem of the dead in honor of the victims and soldiers of the Second World War. The prefect took advantage of the ceremony to decorate 5 employees of the prefecture with the Medal of Ultramarine Engagement.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
DECOM, the Collective Prevention Services, CPS, a department within the Ministry of Public Health, Social Development and Labour, VSA, through its Youth Healthcare Baby Wellness Clinic, has planned several vaccine outreaches for members of the community for May. The vaccine outreaches are geared primarily towards children, 4 to 9 years old, who have not yet gotten their vaccine boosters. If parents have missed recent appointments for vaccines, CPS encourages them to make use of this opportunity for children from 2 months to 17 years old. Parents and guardians can bring the children and teenagers to the clinic at the Vineyard Office Park between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Wednesday, May 13th, 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. Saturday, May 16th, and 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Wednesday, May 27th. You should also bring along your child's vaccination record. The vaccines that are provided include DTaP IPV Hib, diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, and poliomyelitis, and Haemophilus influenzae type B, PCV13, pneumococcus conjugate vaccine 13-valent, MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella, DTIPV, diphtheria, tetanus, and poliomyelitis, and HPV, human papillomavirus. For those who would like additional information to verify their child IREN's status or would like to make an appointment, you can call 721-542-3003 or message CPS via WhatsApp 721-520-4163. Vaccination is essential in preventing a wide range of childhood diseases and significantly reduces the risk of illness, disability, and death. These include conditions such as cervical cancer, diphtheria, hepatitis B, measles, mumps, pertussis, whooping cough, pneumonia, polio, rotavirus, diarrhea, rubella, and tetanus. CPS also highlights the importance of the HPV vaccine, which is recommended for girls between the ages of 9 and 17. This vaccine offers long-term protection against cervical cancer, one of the leading causes of death among women, making early vaccination a vital preventive measure. Maintaining routine vaccination coverage is crucial. According to PAHO, gaps in vaccination can leave children vulnerable to preventable diseases such as polio, tetanus, measles, and diphtheria, particularly those with weakened immune systems. Ensuring full immunization not only protects individuals, but also strengthens community immunity. Vaccines remain one of the most effective tools in eliminating childhood diseases. CPS urges parents and guardians to treat vaccination records with the same importance as other essential documents, such as passports or identification, and to ensure they are up to date and safely stored. The reporter asked first, "Can you give us an update on the purchase of the new generators that you received money from Holland for? And remember that there was, I think, 33 million guilders from." Sophie Herman is related to energy efficiency and sustainability last. 2 weeks ago, the Minister of Romy mentioned that the plan was to purchase grid-level storage with battery capacity to put on the grid. It was mentioned to me that the largest consumer of electricity actually is 7Seas for their reverse osmosis for generating fresh water. However, there is equipment from Wartzilla that can be added to the generators that as a byproduct will produce fresh water, thereby reducing energy consumption, so therefore would also fit into that sustainability bucket. So if you can comment on the status of the generators and the plans for the 33 million euros that Holland's provided for sustainable energy, Prime Minister Dr. Luc Mercelina responds at the Compress briefing on Wednesday.
First of all, the ordering of the generators. We are now in the last phase of the negotiations to order the generators. It's a very complicated process, but ultimately we are in the last phase to start with the purchasing of the generators. Due to the geopolitical developments that took place in recently, we see also a challenge for the originally determined prices for the generator. We are seeing that that will have also an impact on the agreement on the prices for the generators. And secondly, also, there is an enormous load of requests from the world for the generators that we would like to order to. So we have a few extra challenges that the prices are raising due to the geopolitical shifts that are taking place. And also there is enormous increase in demand in the world for these generators. That can have also implication for the waiting time for delivery of these generators. We are also in the phase of reconsidering everything to really see if this is the route we have to continue moving or if we have to look in other directions to other fabrics that produce generators. There are a lot of latest developments that actually had an impact on the course that we wanted to walk for the purchasing of these generators. But we are in the last phase of having everything up to par to press the button for the ordering of the generators. Seeing the challenges that we have at GB, of course we know that renewable energy green energy is the future that we have to head towards. On the other side, there are so many challenges at this particular moment that we are dealing with by GB that we did not make a significant step in actually crystallizing a clear pathway towards alternative green energy. We have our report ready from Energy Nautics, and it is already explained in this report the path that we have to move forward. But I think it's a matter of time for us to start the process and the project of green alternative energy for St. Martin.
So that would dovetail then into a question of currently there is no net metering policy, right? So that if people produce electricity at home and then they feed it into the grid, what the agreement is for that. Whose responsibility is that? Does it fall under the Prime Minister? Which ministry? And can you update on the progress on that?
Yes, no, it's a responsibility of government, of course, the supply of energy to the community, and also the responsibility of government to have legislation at place to start talking about the consumption and actually the delivery to energy back from the populace to the grid. These projects are great ideas for the nearby future, but if there is no legislation at place, it's not going to work out, and that is what we realize now too, and that is also part of the funds being available to actually organize alternative green energy for the future.
But which ministry is responsible for developing that legislation?
All ministries, because it touch bases on all ministry, and especially VROMI is part of it, VSI is going to be part of it, and TIAT, of course, controlling, being the regulator of the tariffs, the consumer's price. Actually, this is a very broad topic that is going to touch base on all ministries of government. So the answer will be the government is responsible for this.
So, and is this drafting in progress?
The drafting is still not in progress.
We are highlighted more on the JNIS, which will officially be Foster Care Awareness Month under the theme, Foster the Future.
weather forecast today through Saturday midday. Fair to partly cloudy with brief isolated showers possible. Surface winds this afternoon through Saturday midday, east-northeasterly to easterly with a light to moderate breeze at 7 to 14 mph. State of the sea, smooth to slight waves, swells up to 4 feet. Outlook through Sunday midday. Fair to partly cloudy with isolated showers possible. And now your 3-day forecast.
Your social and health insurances. Your social and health insurances.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
Two application periods for the subsidy regulation for social initiatives relating to the transatlantic slavery history of the Caribbean part of the kingdom, subsidieregeling voor maatschappelijke initiatieven, transatlantisch slavernijverleden voor het Caribisch deel van het Koninkrijk, have been open since 1 April. Category 3 and 4 charities and associations can submit a subsidy application for medium-scale or large-scale social initiatives until 17 CET on 1 June 2026. Categories 3 and 4 include various projects relating to the history of slavery, the organizing of meetings or events to help people come to terms with our slavery past, and projects in the fields of education and artistic expressions, including exhibitions and performances. The projects must benefit the community of descendants of enslaved people and have an lasting impact. The subsidy amount per Category 3 application ranges from a minimum of USD 25,000 to a maximum of USD 125,000. The amount per Category 4 application ranges from a minimum of USD 125,000 to a maximum of USD 500,000. The deadline for applications is 17 CET on 1 June 2026. The next time application periods will open for these categories will be on 1 April and 1 June 2027. Report by PBS NewsHour. The Strait of Hormuz closure is not only driving up prices at the pump in the US, it's also driving up the cost of delivering humanitarian aid around the world. That is particularly acute for Somalia, which is facing one of the most complex hunger crises in recent years. Nick Schifrin speaks with the World Food Programme's Matthew Hollingworth for more.
For more than a year, Somalia's children have suffered from a looming famine and deep cuts to foreign aid. And now the war in Iran for them has become a matter of life and death. Iran's chokehold over the Strait of Hormuz has led to shortages of life-saving foods and delays on deliveries by humanitarian groups. It's just one example of the war's impact well beyond the strait. To discuss that is Matthew Hollingsworth, Assistant Executive Director for Program Operations at the World Food Programme, who joins me from Mogadishu. Thanks very much, Matthew Hollingsworth. Welcome to the NewsHour. Just how much has the war, this chokehold over the strait, affected your operations in Somalia?
We're seeing already significant increases in food costs across the country. We're seeing as much as 150% increase in fuel costs across Somalia. It's slowing things down when it comes to deliveries. We've just received in the last days a shipment that was due to come in 30 days ago and was 30 days delayed. That means that during that period, we simply didn't have enough assistance, but it comes at a time when the country's already facing the impact of 3 consecutive failed rainy seasons, drought throughout vast parts of the country, where very significant numbers of people, more than 2 million, are facing very serious levels of hunger. This all adds together and brings us the perfect storm in terms of the impact on Somalis around the country.
During your trip, you visited a village in Puntland, which has experienced, as you said, 3 failed rainy seasons in a row. What did you see there?
I mean, across Puntland, you see water reservoirs completely dried up. So there is no water available for their pasture land, no water available for their animals. So you see a lot of skeletons of dead animals, dead farm animals. You see families that have lost all of their assets. This is a malnutrition hotspot in the world already, and it's just getting worse and worse.
You visited a site for the internally displaced where you're providing emergency assistance and nutrition services. How much increase is there in the need, in the demand, since the war in Iran began?
I mean, it was frightening to go to a mother and child health care center and speak to mothers of 4 or 5 children who know that in the months ahead, we will no longer be able to help their children. In this circumstances, when we don't have the resources, we don't have the stocks, we don't have the food, we're having to take tough choices. But we can only actually help about 1 in 10 who we would typically want to assist. And that's down to, yes, increased prices, yes, slowing supply chains and global supply chains around the world, but it's also just a resource gap because we don't have the funds to help the most needy. And this is a crisis that is growing, particularly when it comes to nutrition or malnutrition in the under 5s.
Talk about those people who you will not be able to help. What will happen to them?
They're taking very difficult choices. As families themselves, they're deciding, what to sell if they've got something to sell, what to keep, which child goes to school, which child doesn't go to school, who gets fed that meal today and who doesn't. I have 3 children. I know, I would do anything to make sure that they stay healthy and well. When you think yourself how many days you could go without food, mothers are taking the decision, which child doesn't eat today? It's really not easy. We need to be calling for a ceasefire or a more permanent ceasefire, for a more permanent opening of the Strait of Hormuz, so that we can get past this issue of food becoming prohibitively expensive for the poorest around the world.
Explain why it's important for the region, for Somalis and Somalia to have what it needs in order to maintain stability in a key region.
More suffering, more displacement inside Somalia raises the concern of more displacement of people coming from Somalia outside. South Sudan, Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, these are all countries that need stability moving forward. Without that stability, we know what that means for the rest of the world when we see countries where people are so desperate they're willing to leave to find, better situation for their children, for their families.
Matthew Hollingworth is the World Food Program's Assistant Executive Director from Program Operations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is our SXM Daily Newscast. Thank you for joining us.